Pastor Ron coming to you on a Wednesday evening,
August 12th.
August 12th, seeking the truth. Got my better half.
That's right.
That's the word for this week.
Amen. Yep.
I'm the better half, and she's the better half.
That's right.
We had a divine appointment with a young lady. Hopefully she'll tune in and watch this. And she was talking about her better half.
Yes. When we were at the secret place getting water, and people are running out. Their wells are drying up. That's what she came and talked to us about.
Grego, good to see you in the house. Grego's in the house. I just said Grego's not on yet, but he'll be on. Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, I just want to give out a shout of thanks to, during this COVID time, doing whatever you're doing. I know I'm very thankful because I've had lots of time to spend with my better half.
That's right.
And we've been getting a lot of stuff done.
A lot. And for those of you who are concerned, the honeydew list is still growing.
Yes. And also just wanted to give a shout out to my mom. Today we got the canned beef, and we've been trying to do that for years, but it always falls at the same time that a bunch of activities are going on at the church, fundraisers that we chose to eliminate this year and trust Jesus and,
Amen.
go with it. So it was a wonderful day. So for those of you who don't know, some of you do know, but for those of you who don't know, my mom had a stroke 2 years ago on May 29th.
Brain bleed, bad one.
Brain bleed, bad one.
So
they said that she would not be able to be independent. She would not be able to speak.
Oh, she's speaking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She's reading the Bible every morning with us.
Yeah, within 24 hours, she was doing better, but she was in the hospital and rehab, so, but God was faithful, and she's a very tenacious woman, and through the whole thing, and even today when she was struggling while we were, just doing things, and, sometimes the smallest things, that she's not able to, she gets frustrated, but she turned it around, and she did this the whole time she was in the hospital. She always gave praise and always thanked the Lord, for what He is doing for her. So she always has. She was probably the best patient.
They said she was.
Yeah, and so it was a beautiful thing because we can say a lot of things, but when the rubber meets the road and the trials and tribulations come along, if we need to practice what we say, what we preach, we need to walk the walk. So, Mom, I love you, and it was a great day today.
So back to our divine appointment with the several people at the spring where Deborah said that the wells were running dry. The lady said her father, 70-some years old, they lived at this one place. The well there had never run dry. And we've been watching the rivers and springs, and I was mindful of the way that God showed me how to memorize the seals and the bowls. Is the first seal. Whatever happens in the first seal affects the earth. And the first trumpet and the bowl affects the earth. The second one on both affects the sea. And the third affects the rivers and the streams. Now, you may not think that is a big deal, but I'm telling you something. Just when that happens, if the rivers and streams are affected and you do not have water, you are going to be in trouble.
Especially on a hot day like today when you're working really hard.
Fresh water.
Yeah, and you need a shower too. Yes.
Shower?
I'm not saying you need a shower.
Nope,
I'm just
already
saying
took a
when
shower.
you need a shower.
Yeah. You have to be able to use the bathroom.
So appreciate water.
Yes, you need water. So this is why we say it is good to prepare. Failure to prepare will prepare you for failure. So it's interesting to see what's happening. I'd like to start off by reading out of this book just a little bit, Thomas Horn. Tom, you need to give us a plug.
This is our newest book that we're reading.
Because we keep giving you a plug. See, we're reading these books during this time of semi-lockdown where we're just being cautious, but we're reading books. So Dr. Matt will probably send you one of these too.
We read the Bible first.
Bible's first.
Yep.
Commentary, Dawn Reed sent us from Crossing Paths Ministries. Thank you. We read that every morning together. And then we pick a book. But out of this book this morning, when I started to read it, the anointing hit me so hard.
I thought he couldn't spell a word. I said, you need me to help
And I
you.
was crying. I couldn't hold back the anointing. It was so powerful. And every line I read, I just started feeling the anointing. So I thought I better share this with you tonight because obviously it is of great importance. This book is the Rabbi's Donald Trump and the Top Secret Plan to Rebuild the Third Temple. We're just getting started, right?
Yep.
But it's an awesome book. And when I had the opportunity to read this morning, it says Donald Trump 424 is the gematria, I guess that's the numeral meaning, of Messiah for the house of David. Wrote Adam Eli Berkowitz for Breaking Israel News on May 16th of 2016. Listen to this. That is not to say that Donald Trump is the Messiah, but that his presidency will usher in the Messianic era. Others, including Rabbi Glazerson, who accurately predicted the Trump victory before the election using Bible codes, have chimed in. Glazerson found various connections between Trump and the Messiah in these codes, which in Hebrew means anointed, and led Glazerson to conclude that his election is connected to the coming of the Messiah.
Panda wants to say hi to everybody. Yes, this is our 18-pound cat.
Panda loves attention.
And now he's going away. Yeah. We tried.
Rabbi Weiss is a Trump Messiah connection believer. Listen to this. These are rabbis. And he also sees in the president the agent of God's favor for building the third temple, another Cyrus liking. Then there is the Sanhedrin in Israel, the tribunal that has styled itself after the Second Temple era, the Jewish court, which has sent letters to Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, asking them to join forces to build the third temple for the coming Messiah. So they're saying they know the Messiah is coming, so they have to get the temple prepared. This is serious stuff. Professor Weiss is a spokesman for the Sanhedrin and notes how Donald Trump made support for Israel and the recognition of Jerusalem as their capital part of public discourse during 2016. But listen, we're in 2020. This is 4 years ago they've been working on this. Combining that with Putin's expressed opinion that the third temple ought to be built now caused him to say that both men should do what King Cyrus did 2,500 years ago and build a religious complex for the benefit of all Jews and the entire world. We are poised to rebuild the temple, Weiss said, and the leaders of Russia and America can lead the nations of the world to a global peace through building the temple, the source of peace. Rabbi Berger, who oversees King David's tomb in Jerusalem, takes it a step further. He believes Donald Trump actually won the election through the power of Messiah which gave him the boost needed and is connected to the messianic process, which is happening right now.
Did I not put up Romans 8:28? I didn't know you were going to read that.
Yes.
God causes all things.
Amen.
To work out pretty good. He's in control.
Now, most recently, the Sanhedrin authorized the minting of 2 coins. I've seen these. It's unreal. The half-shekel Cyrus Trump temple coin, and shortly thereafter, the 70 years Israel redemption temple coin, both of which depict Donald Trump and the ancient Persian king Cyrus, who empowered the building of the Second Temple, on the front side with the Third Temple on the back. In an article for Breaking Israel News, the reason for the commemorative coins were tied specifically to the Trump administration as the catalyst for the building of the Third Temple. People don't even know Donald Trump has anything to do with the building of the Third Temple, and they put all the religions of the world will be able to worship on the Temple Mount. That is a part of the peace treaty that no one believes in is in existence. In fact, the rabbis associated with the effort go so far as to say the success of Donald Trump's presidency depends on his efforts to initiate the building of the new Solomon-like house of worship. In gratitude to United States President Donald Trump for recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Jerusalem, the nascent Sanhedrin and the Temple Education Center are minting a replica of the silver half shekel, biblically mandated to donated by every Jewish male to the temple. The report stated, before adding, Rabbi Weiss stressed that Trump's U.S. administration goals will come to fruition only if they are geared towards rebuilding the Jewish temple. Cyrus and Belfort, non-Jews who played an enormous important role in Jewish history, fell short and their political success suffered as a result, Weiss said. Trump's political agenda can only be succeeded if it is focused on building the Third Temple on the place that God has chose, the Temple Mount. He must not advance any two-state solution, or this will lead to his downfall. And we've been waiting for July 1st to see the annexation of the land of Judea. And they were going to set up the 2 states, but it didn't take place. So, all right, Deborah.
Okay.
My helpmate, we're handing the ball off to you now.
Okay.
She's going to go through some news.
So I'm going to go through some news. Remember, we're just informing you of things. There's no fear in this. Just putting it out there. Okay. So kids are getting ready to go back to school. So we're praying for you parents that have to make that decision.
Yes.
You know that's a very difficult decision. So just going to run through some things. So 100,000 kids have tested positive in the last 2 weeks. American Academy of Pediatrics says that 380,175 cases have been reported in children since the pandemic started.
Now, let me ask you something. Did you know that? That's almost 400,000 kids have tested positive for the virus. I was thinking kids don't get the virus.
That's what they've been saying.
I mean, that's what they've been saying. Now, all of a sudden, 400,000, the number comes out of nowhere. I mean, that should get your attention.
Yeah. Okay, 180,000 cases in just the last 4 weeks.
How about that? I mean, there's a serious explosion in the kids. Now, I think that's because they're sending the kids to school in certain areas, so it's causing the numbers to spike.
And there's been vacations. There's been a lot of summer activities.
Yeah,
so,
all the above.
Yeah. So teachers, this is what they're saying so sloppy, risking children's lives. All over the country, children are catching COVID and on ventilators. They're testing more kids now, finding more positive results. Kids. That's what we keep hearing right now. So the Florida numbers are 536,961, and they have 8,277 deaths. Now all of a sudden, the children are the issue, and cases are climbing. Trump says that they are a tiny.
Tiny fracture dies, or
I don't think. I think that's there's just a fraction.
Yeah.
That was a spell check. Tiny fraction die from it, and most of them, most all of them will recover quickly. But you have seen some. If you've watched any of the news, you've seen a couple situations where there was, and I'm sure there's more than this. Not everybody can be on TV, but some kids that it was really, really serious, and how scary, as a parent, that would be. So
it's definitely a concern.
Yeah. So Florida alone has 42,000 children tested positive. People's concerns are for returning to the school. Florida is giving families a choice. Online or in-person learning is the option they are giving now. So Florida, there's a Florida video. It's sad and apocalyptic. All the meals are prepackaged, social distancing, masks. All children will randomly be screened, frequent hand washing, deep cleansings for entire buildings every Wednesday. Do you realize what the cost of that is for these organizations to do this? Everything gets clean.
Hey, kids, listen. Kids think they're going back to school, and it's going to be like a big party like it usually is. School ain't going to be the way school was in the past. I'm just telling you.
So like whenever they're saying they want to go back.
Exactly.
And it be normal,
with their friends and be playing
and
and all. It's not going to be that way.
So you know that they actually had to rescindicate the suspension for that young girl.
Yes.
So She took that picture in Georgia.
She did the video.
She took the video or picture, and then they suspended her. And then a bunch of people got COVID, so they have had to rescind that. Okay, so AFT, that is a teachers union. It says 1.7 million teachers union strikes. The question is it safe?
That's all they're saying. Is it safe to send the kids back to school? They're weighing the risk and rewards. 1.7 million teachers are binding together on this.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but I know you and I were talking about it before we saw it on the news last night, is when sometimes you have to hold a child back from, moving on to the next year. And I know when I say this, probably be some backlash about it, anyway. But yeah. So, but like if everybody would just take a pause for this year.
It's a gap option.
It's a gap option. It would be everybody that was your child's age would be the same. And there'd be a lot more people safe. So, I mean, that's just my opinion about it. Or there's 4 quarters in a year. There's 4 quarters. So
take a quarter off.
Take a quarter off. Do training from home, the online video stuff, the school. I don't know what the names of the stuff is since I don't have children, but we're praying for you. I just want to tell you, we're praying for you. So South Dakota says send the kids back. This is the mayor or the governor. Says send the kids back with no mask. Says masks are very controversial. And obviously they are. People have different opinions about them. There are 6 million kids being homeschooled right now. Parents say they do not want to do it. Say they do not know what to do. So it's safe. Is it safe to homeschool this year? That's the safest.
Our new phrase is what you don't understand, you fear.
Yep.
And there is mass confusion right now
There's definitely confusion.
on one of the most
changes.
important topics in the country right now.
So if you feel confused right now, obviously, it changes constantly. Ron's going to talk about masks a little bit. It changes constantly. So in India, schools' decisions, they have TV screens that look just like the Fox News.
I couldn't believe it. You want to know how, listen, you need to keep this in your mind. Whatever's going on in India and Israel is happening in the United States. This is not restricted to the United States. This is a worldwide pandemic. This is not just affecting Donald Trump and the presidency, even though it might, but it's affecting the entire world, which should give you a different outlook on making your decisions. It's just not a bunch of people in the United States trying to control the United States. This thing is a worldwide spirit that has been prophesied in the Bible.
Okay, so I didn't see this one on TV, so I'm a little bit confused about this one. So you're actually saying the schools have TVs up?
No, just like us on Fox, when you're at home and they were showing these big screens and people watching them, it looked just like Fox. It had total amount of cases, how many deaths, how many confirmed deaths, how many children, and they're trying to decide what to do in India with their children, just like we're doing in the United States.
Okay.
It had the kids with the little masks on, and they were talking about should they homeschool or not, what to do with their kids. It's the same as United States.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, tonight on the local news, they had the Rosin report where they actually had children and parents take a tape measure and say what they felt 6 feet were. It was amazing. Like the older ones, of course, knew what 6 feet were, but the younger ones were way far off. So, okay, so Israel saw a big spike in cases after schools opened. Kids are asymptomatic, which brings the plague home to the parents and grandparents, because grandparents are raising children now also.
That has to be a concern. Even if the kids don't get it and they show the signs, they're asymptomatic, so they're bringing it home to parents or grandparents or their other siblings.
Okay. So what happens if kids are held out of college or high school for an entire year? It's called a gap decision to take 1 year off. That's what I was just talking about. You know you will save lives by that. It is a risk of life and death to open schools, high schools, colleges across the country. Okay, so Tuesday, Russia announced its first vaccine. They will administer it immediately without proper testing. Like in the USA, we need 30,000 people to volunteer. So Russia just tests the doctors and the people who worked on it. Okay, so the USA still has Oxford, Moderna, and Pfizer working on stage 3, and they're looking for the volunteers of 30,000 or more. Alex Azar, the White House representative, said we will remain high quality and safety. We have 6 vaccines, 3 now on phase 3 testing. So when we saw him last night, he was in Taiwan, Alex Azar, and he was checking out because they're actually doing really well over there. They have 23 million people and they only have 500,000 cases. But this is their situation.
Listen how they deal with it.
This is how they deal with it. All people are quarantined. Social media, cell phones, and GPS mandatory tracking devices. So if you get contacted by contact tracing, they're watching you.
That's how they're getting the people.
Yep.
What are those 3? That's GPS,
yep,
social media, and your cell phone. They're tracking every single person by their means. And remember when we told you about contact tracing, what happens to you when you don't want to self-quarantine? Guess where you go?
Yep, here we go. So once the contact tracing was implemented, They have now placed over 200,000 people in mandatory prisons for quarantine.
There you go.
They
Now,
lock them down.
if it's happening in other countries, I'm just saying, if this thing don't change, it's coming to the United States.
Okay. So our concern is, for whatever reason, President Trump is all in for the kids going back to school. We don't understand it, but we don't have to understand everything that's going on. We're just going to pray for the whole situation.
The thing that was encouraging to me last week, we talked specifically about, I thought God showed me, and I even had it wrote down in all my notes. We shared this last week. We should look at the state cases, remember, the county, and then your region in each school.
Right.
Look at the cases, because Deborah shared last week, remember, about the people that we know that send their children to a public school, or they're smaller numbers, or they're a private school, and there could be good social distancing, not as many children. So each situation differs, but we're just educating you on what is really going on across the world, because some people think nothing's really happening.
No, it's just here.
Hello?
Okay, so in Seattle, they slashed the police budget. So lawlessness is in the land. If you're watching any of the news, that's the new word. For 2020, it might be lawlessness. Immediately, the chief of police resigned. She said, I just can't.
She couldn't take it.
She couldn't take it, and she said that she couldn't because of her commitment. She just, no. So $3.4 million has been cut from the budget. Plus, they fired 100 officers in the midst of all the racial riots and spike in crime. Chicago, Portland, Oregon, and Portland, Oregon mayors finally are realizing how bad things are. They're all Democratic. 74 days later, after it started, Pastor Ron says they need to pay an increase and add costs.
Yeah, they need to pay increase, not a decrease.
Yeah.
And they need more cops, not less.
And racial rioting or protesting, like for George Floyd, is not what they did this week, where they actually looted stores. And then people said, well, we deserve it because of the color of our skin. And you know what? Those people have insurance. It'll take care of it. But I can tell you that when you have an insurance claim, your insurance goes up. So eventually you won't be able to take care of that. So that's not peaceful protesting. Israel's news, major protests against accusations against Benjamin Netanyahu, corruption scandal. Sound familiar? Same thing happening with Donald Trump, President Donald Trump. This is a spirit, and the spirit is lawlessness. Protesters are chanting, enough is enough, Bibi must go. Racial protest. Radical protest. One protester says, I don't like him, so he must go. Can you believe that? So, hello, this is why you are radical rioting. In the midst of a pandemic, radical riots have increased. They are in front of his house protesting for weeks. The older protester says, I am for these younger generation rioters since pandemic unemployment has increased. Hello? No wonder we're in a pandemic. She also said, I never liked his leadership. So Pastor Ron said, okay, just because you don't like someone does not mean you turn the world upside down and kill people and destroy cities. You vote. Crazy. There's gates all around his house, police all around the perimeter. Looks just like the good old USA. So then over in Ohio, there's 875 new cases. Now remember, they were actually doing tremendously well for a while there. One man at church, he went to church, he infected 90 people in one church. Nursing homes are still 40% of all the deaths. 45% of all the deaths. Thank you. My better half.
Yeah. I'm a helpmate too.
Yep. Okay. So the Big Ten and the Pac-12 canceled the season. The ACC is looking at canceling the season, and college football may be entirely out this season.
Follow the money.
Yep.
It'll tell you a lot. When they start canceling football, I am telling you, that is bigger than baseball and apple pie. Football was my life, my whole life. Yeah. All right, I need to get on mine. I just have a short time here. My concern is, are you the fraud? Are you the fraud?
Ribbit.
Ribbit. I've said this story 1,000 times. I remember when I was a young boy, a wise old countryman came to me and said, look, if you take this bullfrog and you put him in that pot of water, and if it's boiling, he'll jump right out. But if that water is nice and lukewarm and everybody gives you assurance that everybody's in control, or this is nothing and it's all going to pan out and everything's going to be okay, somebody might be turning up the fire and then that frog would boil alive. And I've been watching since January 28th how we as a country, not saying anybody's specifically wrong for this, because I believe that it is biblical. See, I'm not looking at Democratic. I'm not looking at Republican. I'm not supporting any one conspiracy. I am all about the truth of the Word of God and what has been prophesied. So if God says in these last days that there will be a pandemic, and if there's
going to be one,
there is a pandemic.
Right.
So we can't say there's not a pandemic, because there is a pandemic. But what we need to do is use our spiritual wisdom to decide what to do with our lives and how we're to steer through this. So, number one, I have 19 points. Number one, I remember so clearly the first press gathering at the White House, daily briefings, when they were doing those daily briefings, when President Trump said this would all just pass away. It was not going to be as bad as the flu. I really feel he was just listening to his medical staff and the CDC experts, who should have known better and given better advice at the beginning. I think after he figured out that they wasn't giving him the best advice, that's when he pulled back on the reins a little bit and things began to change. Number two, let's face it, at the very beginning, the CDC and the WHO knew what was going on, and they misled the public. No two ways about it. That is the truth. They might have been concerned of global panic. That might be a reason why they underplayed it, because remember the rush on toilet paper alone, the whole world was panicking just on toilet paper. So God forbid if that would have. If it would have come out then and said there was going to be 20 million cases, trust me, there would have been worldwide panic. But here again, just like the frog, we were told a little bit by little bit. That's my whole point on sending kids back to school. It's the whole theme that I'm getting to tonight. Masks, point number 3. Masks were only to be worn by the people who had the virus. Remember that? The mask was only to keep a person who had the virus from coughing or sneezing or spitting or spewing. It was to protect those others from getting the virus from a person that way. It was only to prevent them from spreading it. Later, point number 4, we found out that they were just concerned on the shortage of PPE and N95 masks. Now, after lockdown,
N95.
Yeah, I always just say N95 masks. That's okay. Now, after lockdown, we are told all must wear masks, right? Now they're saying everybody got to wear masks. I see people driving down the road in their car by themselves, and I'm like, what are you driving around with a mask on inside your car by yourself?
I know, but we figured out why a lot of times that is. Like, I pick people up on Sundays.
Yeah.
And, you know, they have the comorbidities.
Yep.
And so, like, I wear my mask and I ask them to wear it.
Right.
Because
that's
it makes
good.
them safe. So
very good.
It is weird when you're driving down the road, though, but safety.
Now, after the lockdown, we're all told all must wear masks, while many say masks do not work at all. That's what the governor was saying of South Dakota. Well, some masks work better than others, but the N95 is the best and it works, but it is only to be used by medical specialists. So go figure, people can't even use that one. So there I was, the first guy in the world to tie a bandana on when I was on a plane on March 8th.
It was embarrassing. I thought, this is crazy.
I said, I'm putting my bandana on. I'm not sitting here breathing this because I don't know. But then you find out some of them.
I think the lady right beside you thought you were going to hijack the plane.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm going to remember on 1.6.
Okay.
I'm going to do this masks update on August 6th. Now here's the update. Now this is in August. This is 7 months later. How could you, a mask may not protect the wearer, but it may keep the wearer from spreading the virus to others. That sends us back to point number 1 where we were in February 8th. They're saying the mask only protects the person from giving it to other people. It is amazing they're still saying that the mask does not help the wearer of it. Some masks might prevent the spreading of the disease from those who have it and cough or sneeze while near you while they make up. I said, will they please make up their minds? People sending their kids back to school.
You know, these are people who have college degrees. They're scientists.
Yeah, it's their life.
A ton of money. Make
So
up
you
your
don't
mind.
know if to wear a mask is going to help us or not. Hello? What are you thinking?
Yeah.
COVID-19 spreads. I don't know why I get all these emails. Maybe you guys don't get them. Maybe you guys get them too. But the CDC is sending me these certified emails all the time.
They're watching you.
Yeah, they love me. COVID-19 spreads mainly, listen, from person to person through respiratory droplets produced when an infected person coughs, sneezes, talks, or even raises their voice. This happens while shouting, chanting, or even singing. That's why they're cracking down on churches. These droplets can land in the mouths or noses of people who are nearby or possibly be inhaled into their lungs. Recent studies show that a significant portion of individuals with COVID-19 that lack symptoms are asymptomatic, and that even those who eventually develop symptoms are pre-asymptomatic can transmit the virus to others before showing symptoms. Do you remember when they said people that were asymptomatic could not spread the virus? Come on, guys. Get with the program. Make up your mind. You're making me dizzy.
It's almost like a weatherman, right?
Yeah.
You'll get paid whether you're right or whether you're wrong.
But at least the weathermen are consistent. They're always wrong. This is a concern because people look and act fine while carrying the plague. Looks are deceiving here, so be not deceived. We're talking about sending your kids back to school. What about the teachers having the virus or the kids passing it to parents and grandparents? To reduce the spread of COVID-19, CDC recommends that people wear masks in public settings when around people outside of their household, especially when other social distancing measures are difficult to maintain. Social distancing is always important, and it is the one constant throughout all literature. Keep your distance and stay outside for your own protection. So why is it important to wear a mask?
I'm surprised they haven't started selling walking sticks that are 6 feet long.
Because people don't know how far 6 foot is.
I know,
I'm telling
if you had a walking stick and people got close to you, you could just poke them.
When people, what did I say we should do in church? Because people come up to you this big and they think, okay, I'm social distancing, Pastor Ron, and I'm like, no, you're not. We need to have a little let me breathe. Masks may prevent people who have COVID from spreading the virus to others. Wearing a mask will help protect people around you, including those who are at higher risk of severe illness. That's what Deborah's saying. We have a lot of elderly in our church.
Not elderly. They just have special.
Okay, they're special needs people.
They have those special, like the diabetes, the COPD, the CHF.
Okay.
Those things.
Okay. From COVID-19 and workers who frequently come in close contact with other people, stores or restaurants. Masks are most likely to reduce the spread of COVID when they are widely used by people in public settings. The spread of COVID-19 can be reduced when masks are used along with other preventive measures, including social distancing. Frequent hand washing. Okay, so we got masks, social distancing, hand washing, cleaning, and disinfecting frequently touched surfaces. 5 things you need to watch for you and your kids, and educate your kids on this. Okay, here it is. We do not wear good masks. They're reserved for the PPE and medical staff. We are to wear the masks that don't even work. That was my comment. The masks recommended here are not surgical masks or respirators. Currently, those are critical supplies that should be reserved for the healthcare workers and other first responders. Masks are not personal protective equipment, PPE. They are not appropriate substitutes for PPE, such as respirators like the N95 or medical face masks like surgical masks in workplaces where respirators or face masks are recommended or required to protect the wearer. Masks with exhalation valves or vents. The purpose of masks is to keep respiratory droplets from reaching others to aid with source control. Masks with one-way valves or vents allow exhaled air to be expelled out through the holes in the material. This can allow exhaled respiratory droplets to reach others and potentially spread the COVID virus. I'm just saying, I'm just reading what they send me. Therefore, CDC does not recommend using masks if they have an exit. When you exhale, the valve, the droplets could get out of the mask is what they're saying. So why even wear them? That's what they're saying in this. Yeah. Now.
I thought that was part of it.
That was the mask.
Okay.
Now I'm on number 6. I'm back to number 6. I got 10 minutes to get it in.
Whoa.
Okay. Watch the progression of the number of cases. Remember, we like the frog. No, we need to be ahead of the curve, God told me on March 8th, or really in February before I came home. I know, true or not, correct or not, there has been a conscious designated effort of progression. Listen to this. At first, it was like 10,000 cases. Then next thing you know, and they're saying, oh, it's not going to get that bad. It's never going to be worse than the flu. The flu has 30,000 deaths a year, blah, blah, blah. Then next thing you know, we hit 50,000 deaths. Rate bypassed 30. So then what did they tell us? They tell us, oh, don't worry. There was 58,000 deaths in 10 years in the Vietnam War. We're not going to bypass 58,000. We're kind of flattening the curve off. Everything's going to be okay. Then we're told we close the borders and we'll never see 150,000 deaths. We're also told that the early decisions that were made in the lockdown prevented those kind of large numbers ever occurring. So keep the frog in the water and just turn the heat up a little bit. So as we're boiling in the water, listening to what they tell us, the next thing you know, we pass by that 58,000 that they told us we would never hit because it took 10 years in the Vietnam War to kill that many people. Then we hit 70,000. Then when we were at 70,000, I remember them saying, we'll never hit six figures. We'll never get up to 100,000 deaths. Then we passed it. And as soon as we passed 100,000, they threw us another bone that said, oh, well, look, we'll never break 150,000. That was like the next projection. We'll never break that. Remember, they're going to flatten the curve. And remember Pastor Ron saying, the curve looked like that.
Well, Dr. Fauci said the other day that if we don't get below, or we don't get around 10,000 a day,
we're in trouble.
We're in trouble. We're at 50,000 a day.
Then we will never hit 150 deaths, he said. Then boom, all of a sudden we're at 165,000 now, in that ballpark. So then they come out with the latest projection. Listen to this. By the end of the year, the conservative projection that they are saying now, by the end of the year, we're going to be over 300,000 deaths. I mean, that has to concern you that they've been giving us low projections the whole time along, just like a frog boiling in the pan, and they're turning up the heat and turning up the heat, and now all of a sudden they come out and double the number. They doubled it by the end of the year. This is a perfect example of manipulation of the numbers to control the responses of the masses. Number 7. Remember the panic of food and toilet paper? Well, whatever happened to Fisher and Tyson Foods?
Oh, yeah, we never hear about that.
Hello? What happened to them? When we were at 50,000, everybody was going to die from eating a contaminated chicken. Well, what happened to all that all of a sudden?
Yeah, we don't even hear about that.
I even had some chicken today. Chicken legs were excellent. Thank you. The chef that we know, Keith gave...
Oh, yeah, incredible recipe.
Keith gave Deborah, Chef Keith. Happened to Fisher Tyson Foods. Now, are they all right? What happened to all those plants closing down and all the sick chicken and all the sick beef, and what happened to that?
Employees sick.
Right. Number 8, remember New York City needing the Mercy ship when the Samaritan's Purse was there? My wife volunteers for Samaritan's Purse. I was all excited to see them in New York to help all these people and all the sick people, and they had all their stations. Guess what they did with Samaritan's Purse? We don't need you. I thought they needed all these people.
It was a religious thing.
What happened there? They were never used and eventually told to leave. Number 9, verse 9. Number 9. Now they're saying the plague is airborne. How about that? We covered that last week. You're going to tell me, listen, I might not be the brightest bulb in the pack or the sharpest tool in the shed, but I can tell you something. If I worked for the CDC my entire life and was trained for this, or I was a part of the WHO, I would be able to tell you after 7 months if this thing was airborne or not. They never mentioned that one time in 7 months. Now they're saying the plague is airborne. You can get it 3 to 4 hours after someone passed by, and it can spread up to 27 feet and linger in the air. Did it take the most educated and best doctors in the world 6 to 7 months to get to that decision? I seriously doubt it. What is going on? What's going on is they're not telling us what they know, or what I believe is this is a plague that has been sent, it's biblical. I don't care if you think it's been sent by God or God permitted it. I don't care about that.
He allowed it. That
Either
stuff to
way.
happen in the Old Testament constantly to get the attention of his people.
The plague is here.
Yep.
Like it or not, it's here. Now, how we deal with it is on us. So let's educate ourselves. What is really going on now with the kids? Number 10. What's really going on with the kids? For 6 months, kids do not get the plague, or if they do, they really don't get sick. They don't die, and they recover quickly. That's what we've been told. Don't worry about the kids. They don't catch it. They recover. Number 11. Now, all of a sudden, in 4 weeks, you have 180,000 kids who tested positive for the plague. And 385,000 kids have had the plague that we had never been told about. Schools, as they open, are getting hammered, and the plague and high school athletes are also getting sick. So it's not just the feeble kids. These are athletes that are getting it. Number 12. The largest teachers' unions are striking out of fear and concern of what is best for the children to stay at home in cyber school or take a gap period, like Deborah said. 1.7 million teachers got together, the largest union in the world, and is saying they're not comfortable with it. Number 13, a gap period. Take off a semester or a quarter or even a year. What would that hurt? How many kids would die from that? I'll tell you, there ain't no kids from dying that. We would definitely save lives. Take a break. Do not rush it. Safety first, and always steer on the side of caution, please, when you're talking about your kids. I know governments want to get economies back up before they get so bad we cannot bring them back. They're concerned about the economies, which I understand. Number 14, this is why I say this is an apocalyptic plague. This is an end time sign. No matter what people do, they cannot stop it. This is why the best in the entire world are looking so foolish. They make a decision and the plague changes course or substance. God is showing everyone that he is Lord of Lords and that he is King of Kings. All idols will be put down. College football, gone. NFL, guys are dropping out before the season starts. NBA, Major League Baseball, tennis, golf, all sports have already been affected by the plague. Number 15, what is going to happen when the second wave hits? They can't even say that we're at the end of the first wave, and now they're talking the second wave was supposed to hit in the fall. This has been, do you remember the plague of 1917, influenza? It stopped. They thought it was over, and it come back in the fall. This one is just continually, it's just not stopped. What is going to happen on the second wave? Will it be worse than the first? What is number 16? What is going to happen when the vaccines come out? We're forgetting about that. You've got to train yourself and your children. Are you going to accept that vaccine or not? What happens to the people who refuse to take the vaccine?
So listen, yeah, if you're not wearing a mask or wearing a mask and somebody else feels opposite about it, and people are attacking you for that, if you don't take the vaccine, which we don't plan on it, there's going to be some persecution because, people are going to take it to be safe and they're going to be angry.
They're going to be mad at you if you don't take the vaccine, right. I'm telling you. There's probably people listening to us thinking you should take it. I listen to Pat Robertson. I love the 700 Club. We believe in what they believe in, but they're just head over heels in love with the vaccine. I mean, people think it's going to be great.
But if it has anything to do with you can't buy or sell.
Right, or controlling you, or tracking you, or not giving you a freedom of decision. Number 17, Thailand is already placing these individuals from contact tracing in quarantine places called prisons. Is that what is coming to the United States? 18, the truth is no one really knows what's going on. People are trying to do their best as we progress through time with this plague. So take this time and prepare. Get ready to be the head, not the tail. Use wisdom. Never underestimate your adversary. Never. We are in a battle. We want what's best for you and your children. That's why we're sharing these truths. It takes a lot of time and effort and research to find these things. So please implement them into your thought process. Your decision is your decision. You have that freedom to make that choice. We're just trying to educate you to the best of our ability. I'll guarantee you one thing I'll never do. I'm never going to say this plague don't exist and it's all just Puff the Magic Dragon. People are dreaming this and it's all fake, because it's not. I'm telling you, this is something that's affecting people's lives. You need to open your eyes, do some research, watch the videos, watch the true reports where people are coming out of the hospital that thought it was fake, and they listen to these quacks and nuts that say, oh, well, it's just, it's nothing. And then these people believe that, and they have these parties, and then next thing you know, 10 or 20 of them are stuck in there on a ventilator for 4 or 5 months, and then they come out paralyzed, can't even walk. So I'm just doing this out of love, so educate yourself. Number 19, what we do not understand, we fear. So please, educate yourselves and prepare. Failure to prepare will prepare you for failure. Remember what God showed us last week? Matthew 24, listen to this. Verse 15, therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, then let those who are in Judea flee. He didn't say stay there. When Noah built the ark, he didn't tell them to jump out of the boat, did he? When he was going to destroy the city, he didn't tell Lot to stand in there and get consumed by fire.
The only instruction was not to turn around. 3 of them made it.
That's it. Listen, we want what's best for you. That's the point of tonight. This is serious. You're going to get into making a decision to send your kids to school or not. Some of you, I hope most of you, your children are the most important thing you have. You better make the right decision, whatever that decision is. Every single state, county, region, school, public, private, every single one has different ramifications. So please use wisdom. Amen.
Amen.
The other thing for you that we always like to share at the end of every single lesson, every single live stream, is we want to make sure that you're going to heaven. And there's only one way to do that. Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. So please pray this prayer with me. Say, Father God, I admit that I'm a sinner. And right now I want to confess that to you. And I want to ask Jesus into my heart. Please fill me with your Holy Spirit, that I would serve you to the best of my ability all the days of my life. My friend, if you prayed that prayer with us, we want to welcome you to the family.
Amen.
The family of God.
Amen.
So we love you. We appreciate every single one of you. Always down in the comment box, I give our websites.
See you next time.
Alpha Lions Den Ministry, ALDM.org, and hisfoodministry.net. Please subscribe.
And click the bell.
Don't forget to click the bell. There'll be a video up here in this corner. Please check it out. Your eternal life depends on it. And for all you truth seekers out there, we close out. Keep on seeking. We'll see you next week. Love you.